to our Chief of Police, Colonel Oscar Perez, and I will say on behalf of the people of Providence, we owe him and every member of the Providence Police Department the deepest debt of gratitude. Colonel?
Thank you very much, Mayor. Well, first and foremost, I want to offer my deepest condolences to the families, the victims. It was for them that this work was put together to make sure that they get the justice that they deserve and to ensure that this person was held accountable. Second thing I'll tell you is that I'm extremely proud of this department, actually the officers, the detectives, the Real-Time Crime Center, the Community Response Team, the Intelligence Division, the Narcotics Division, the Task Force. This past Saturday, as you all know, December 13, Providence Police Department and Brown University Police Department responded to this horrific tragedy at Brown University 184 Hope. Our officers were there within minutes. That same day, Providence police detectives immediately went to work. Looking for video footage to see who this individual was and who was responsible. A person of interest was identified from that video footage. The person of interest was observed on Hope Street, turning onto Waterman Street, and that was one of the first videos that we released. At the same time, every federal agency you can think of was reaching out to the Providence Police Department and responded to the capital city. Images were shared with media within hours. Persons of interest it was the same individual that has been the focus of this investigation since the beginning. All the new images that we received of this person of interest were shared with the media continuously over the past 6 days. This critical evidence was collected with the use of public assistance. As the mayor stated, I'm proud to be the chief of police of this city. I'm proud to be a product of this city for the reasons that the mayor stated. The community stepped up. It was all about groundwork, public assistance, interviews of individuals, and good old-fashioned policing. That is the type of police work that every police officer in this nation reminds themselves of, and that many do not understand. And that is critically important and often succeeds where technology alone cannot. We looked at financial records, we looked at video footages, and in the specific incident, it was actually a video that provided us with a description of a vehicle. That was corroborated through a tip that was received to the tip center. That room was packed with detectives, agents, receiving calls on a daily basis. We started early and left late. Then Flock and the LPR was able to provide us with this description of this vehicle. That vehicle was picked up by Flock, which led us to a car rental place in Massachusetts. Through that, the agents and their work as well were able to get us footage of this individual, as well as a copy of the agreement which provided his real name. The video of that subject matched the description of that person of interest that this police department was desperate to put handcuffs on. That individual was identified as Claudio Neves Valenti, date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student, he was a Portuguese national, and his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight. We have members of the Providence Police Department up in Salem, New Hampshire, and we also have the BCI unit. Obviously, the FBI and their evidence recovery unit is up there, so the process is being conducted as we speak. And it goes without saying that I would like to personally thank the efforts again of the Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the Rhode Island Attorney General, the FBI, the ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshals, IRS, DEA, Secret Service, and NCIS. There is no way that we could have done this by ourselves. And this nation when horrific incidents like this happen, law enforcement steps up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. General Arona?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. You know, I would describe the emotions on the investigative team, including our prosecutors and the agents, detectives from both state police, Providence, as mixed. You know, there is a sense of completeness in terms of the investigation, an investigation that's, if not the hardest, among the handful of hardest investigations that I've ever been involved with. And the sense that we owed those 2 dead Brown students and the 9 injured Brown students and the students who were in that auditorium that weren't injured, and the Brown community and the Providence community results. The teams worked really hard. I think I mentioned that to you almost every night that we met with you. I wish they were all up here with us. That we wouldn't fit here, but it just was remarkable to see the cooperation between the FBI agents, the ATF agents, the HSI agents, the Providence police detectives, the state police detectives, our prosecutors. And I will say that everybody brought a certain expertise to the table, but it is nevertheless a sad moment when you think about those young people who were hurt, injured, or worse, or 2 of them are now deceased. You know, to me, this was always going to be an investigation where something was going to break it open. We were going to pull threads. We were going to gather evidence that would lead us in a particular direction. And I will say that if we were with you less than, well, I guess now more than 24 hours ago, we had that picture of that second individual. And I would say within an hour, no more than 2, I think it was under an hour, that person came forward to 2 Providence police officers over on the east side and said he had information, that he was that person and he had information that could help this case. And I remember last night watching his interview, and he blew this case right open. He blew it open. And that's how these cases sometimes go. You can feel like you're not making a lot of progress. You can feel like you're chasing leads and they don't work out. But the team keeps going because, you know, those of us with experience know that you're going to pull a lot of threads, and it's not always the first one that's going to get you where you need to go. But when you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel that we see here in Providence. He was found dead with a satchel, with 2 firearms, and evidence in the car that that matches exactly what we see at the scene here in Providence. And so I know that you and the public have questions about how we got from a place yesterday where all we could share with you was a photograph of someone we wanted to talk to where we got to tonight. And so we got a state arrest warrant for murder today that was signed by a district court judge for this individual. There won't be a prosecution now, of course, but that affidavit is on our website, and you will be able to see more and read more about how this investigation unfolded. I won't get you all the way there because there are some things that happened afterwards which led us to this suspect's body in New Hampshire. But it will, I think, tell you, give you a sense of the work that went into this by the line prosecutors and the line agents and detectives from the agencies that work so well together. So, you know, as I said, it's with mixed emotions. It is unimaginable, the pain that the parents and families of the deceased are feeling tonight and will feel undoubtedly for quite a while. But I hope that by bringing this person to justice, that we can at least give them the beginnings of some measure of closure. And I want to thank you all for your patience with me when I got a little testy with some of you. Those of you who know me from Rhode Island, you know that's my nature. So I really want to thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, General. As has been said several times, the partnership with the FBI was invaluable, and so it's a pleasure to introduce Special Agent in Charge of FBI, Ted Dox.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. My name is Ted Dox, Special Agent in Charge of FBI Boston. We got him. Shortly before 9 o'clock tonight, the FBI SWAT team executed court-authorized search warrants at a storage unit facility in Hampshire Road in Salem, New Hampshire. This is where we located Claudio Neves Valente, the individual who we believe was responsible for the Brown shooting. The latest developments in an intense 5-day manhunt, and is a result of an incredible amount of work dedicated by the law enforcement team standing here before you tonight. Every single agency brought their unique skills and expertise to this investigation. And we're motivated by the victims and survivors of this horrific incident. Even though the suspect was found dead tonight, our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be processed, and most importantly, the victims and their families deserve special care and consideration. The FBI and our partners across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire will continue to search for answers for the victims, survivors, and their families, to see what motivated this individual to carry out such a senseless act of violence. From the onset of this critical incident, it's been all hands on deck. The FBI deployed approximately 500 special agents, analysts, task force officers, and support personnel to assist our partners in this investigation. In addition to this extra manpower, all our specialty teams were activated, including Evidence Response Team, SWAT, Divert, and Victim Services Response Team, just to name a few. A special thanks to you, the media, as well as to the community. My sincere thanks to Colonel Perez, Colonel Weaver, AG Nerona, Brown University PD, and all of our partners. This was truly a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Another critical partner at every step along the way was the ATF. I'd like to introduce Special Agent in Charge of the ATF, Tom Greco.
Good evening. My name is Tom Greco, the Special Agent in Charge of ATF Boston. From the moment 911 reports of the shooting at Brown University came through, there's been an around-the-clock effort to identify the perpetrator and to protect the community. The men and women of ATF, including our special agents, our intelligence research specialists, and our support personnel, have been proud to support and be part of that effort, leveraging our unique experience, dedicated investigators, canine handlers, and crime gun intelligence technology such as NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, to compare ballistic evidence, and our other available tools to support the investigation, and to help identify Claudio Neves Valente as the individual that we believe was responsible. ATF's mission, first and foremost, is to protect communities from violent crime. Each individual in this country deserves to live in peace and security in their homes, in their schools, in their places of worship, and in the streets. The actions of Claudio Neves Valente stole that right and terrorized the community. I'd like to emphasize to the public, this was a highly dangerous individual capable of extreme violence. And we're happy to have been part of this investigation and proud to have worked with our partners to identify him and see this through. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. From the very outset on Saturday, from our first press conference in the fire station to today, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee has been by Providence's side every step of the way. The City of Providence is incredibly grateful for the governor's support, the state police, not just their assistance with the investigation, but in supporting the broader community. It's a pleasure to introduce Governor Dan McKee.
Thanks, Mayor, and clearly your staff, I feel the same way with the team that you have, that we were happily able to assist. And as a former mayor, many of here in the audience know that I've been a mayor, some don't, but I empathize and sympathize with the position that you were in and the fact that you needed people to follow the lead of the Providence Police and to partner in with some extraordinary people, whether it's with the FBI or the ATF, and of course our state police as well. From the very beginning, my thoughts as a dad was with the families who suffered from the shooting. The unthinkable happened in our state. The unthinkable happened in Providence. The unthinkable happened at Brown University. And we're going to be forever changed. But our commitment from the state level is to continue to support Providence, Brown, and the people of the state of Rhode Island in the recovery. That's going to take a great deal of time. But I do say this. The professionalism that I saw in the law enforcement should make everyone that lives in our state and beyond our borders feel very safe. These things happen, but it requires some professional help in law enforcement to bring it to the conclusion that we've been able to bring it to. So, Colonel, thank you, everybody involved. And again, we will stand with Providence and Brown University and the people of the state of Rhode Island to provide the help that will be needed in the recovery in a trauma like this.
Thank you, Governor. Throughout the year, the Rhode Island State Police is an incredible partner to Providence, but during this investigation, their support was invaluable. I introduce Colonel of the State Police, Colonel Weaver.
My name is Colonel Darnell Weaver, the Superintendent of the Rhode Island State Police. I want to begin by recognizing the excellent and exceptional efforts of the Providence Police Department and Colonel Oscar Perez. From the very first moments of this investigation, the Providence Police Department has worked collaboratively and relentlessly, day and night, on this investigation while protecting our capital city. Their detectives followed facts, developed evidence, and pursued every credible lead. Colonel Perez's leadership has been steady and decisive, focused on identifying the person responsible for this tragedy. As always, our troopers stepped up, working shoulder to shoulder with the Providence Police and our local, state, and federal partners. I want to give particular recognition to our detectives, whose diligence and dedication contributed to this investigation. Our detectives and division leadership operated as a unified team, sharing intelligence, resources, and expertise. This has truly been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, as virtually every trooper has taken extra shifts to help support the efforts in Providence, and I have never been prouder to be a member of the Rhode Island State Police. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Rhode Island State Police, and this case stands out among one of the most challenging in our state's history. The sheer volume of digital evidence, the complexity of the investigation, and the intense public interest played an extraordinary demands on everyone involved. Despite that pressure, investigators remain disciplined, methodical, and focused on facts. We are grateful for the assistance of the public, particularly those who shared our information, provided tips, and gave us doorbell camera footage, and access to their property. We are also thankful for the ongoing support of Rhode Islanders. We know that you have been with us through this entire investigation. I also want to be very clear about something else. Criminal investigations are grounded in evidence, not speculation or online commentary. The endless barrage of misinformation, disinformation, rumors, leaks, and clickbait were not helpful in this investigation. Distractions and unfounded criticisms do not support this work. They complicate it and threaten to undermine the justice we seek for the victims and the grieving families. Despite these challenges, good police work prevailed, and we have lessons that we can bring forward from these long days ahead. To the Brown University community and the people of Rhode Island, be assured that this case reflects the law enforcement community and what we are capable of, and that we are committed to this state. We will continue to support the victims and the broader community as the healing continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Providence is so proud to be home to Brown University, and we are committed to working together with them in the future as they help heal their community as we do our broader Providence community. We continue to give condolences to the deceased and our prayers to those who are recovering. The leader of Brown has been a great partner through this whole process. I'd like to introduce President Christina Paxson from Brown University.
Thank you. You know, nothing can really fully bring closure to the lives that have been shattered over the past week, but this may allow our community to move forward and begin a path of repair and recovery and healing. I want to thank the dedicated law enforcement agencies that have worked so tirelessly on this case, really around the clock, as well as our neighbors and others who participated in giving tips and helping with the investigation. We hope that this outcome tonight brings an increased sense of safety for our community at Brown and in the surrounding area. This has been a period of great fear and anxiety for many people, and now perhaps some form of relief. Truly, this week has been devastating for our community in a number of ways, including the experiences that members of our community have had with being targeted by online rumors and accusations. And I hope that this development also means an end to this truly troubling activity. So we remain focused on the safety and security of our community and in support for the victims of this senseless violence. Now, we know the public and our own Brown community members will want to know more about the individual now identified by law enforcement as the suspect in last weekend's shooting. And we can confirm the following to the best of our knowledge, based on our review in the very short time since law enforcement authorities made us aware of this development. And we provided this information to law enforcement as they build their case and wrap up the investigation. So Claudia Manuel Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. He was admitted to Brown's graduate school to study in the Masters of Science PhD program in physics, beginning on September 1st, 2000. And he took a leave of absence effective April 2001 before formally withdrawing effective July 31st, 2003. During his time at Brown, Nueves Valente was enrolled only in physics classes. The majority of physics classes at Brown have always been held within the Barris and Hawley classrooms and labs. Now, detailed records indicating where specific courses were held don't extend back to 2001. But we can say that physics classes typically require access to specialized equipment, including demonstration carts that are a fixed asset in some of Barris and Hawley classrooms. So I think it's safe to assume that this man, when he was a student, spent a great deal of time in that building for classes and other activities as a PhD student in physics. He has no current active affiliation with the university or campus presence. So again, we thank law enforcement and so many others for their extensive work on this case, day and night, and we look forward to a sense of restored safety for Brown, Providence, and the Rhode Island communities. Thank you.
Thank you, President Paxson. The last speaker, and then we will take your questions, is the Chief of the Brown Police Department, Chief Chapman. Remember, his officers were the first to respond on Saturday, and we are so grateful for both their immediate and heroic response and their partnership over the last 5 days. Chief?
I want to express my ongoing prayers and care and concern for our entire community. I certainly also want to acknowledge and thank the men and women of the Brown University Police and Public Safety for their efforts. As you see, this was a Herculean task and required a lot of collaboration and work. And our officers and our public safety personnel were shoulder to shoulder with these assets. I do want to also thank all of you who have helped citizens and law enforcement. That partnership and collaboration means the world to us, and we couldn't have gotten there without you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
We'll now open up to questions. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What led authorities to link the incidents between Brown University and MIT?
I can be done.
Then I have a follow-up to that.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll just tell you that a lot of the information and evidence that we ended up gathering linked us to a connection up in Massachusetts, obviously at the MIT. But I feel a respect to the authorities in Mass as well as the FBI that's for them to comment. But I'll tell you that the groundwork that started in the city of Providence by our detectives, the detective division under the command of Major LePayan, as well as the federal partners that we had in our room upstairs, and ATF, the FBI, led us to that connection. And so that was great work.
Special FBI, well, does FBI want to weigh in on that? And then I have a follow-up.
I think through that particular link that you're talking about, that case is being worked out of Massachusetts with the leadership of U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. I believe that they are having a press conference today as well, where they'll reveal more to the general public at that time. I'd be remiss to start and kind of talk on this, to let them kind of have first dibs to kind of be the ones to tell the public about those particular links.
And your follow-up.
But your
And,
follow-up,
yeah,
sir.
Then, as for the second person who came forward, what did that person tell you, and did that person know the shooter?
So yeah, obviously, I had mentioned at the last press conference that it was a person that we wanted to speak with. The work of the video collections that we had led us to identify that there was a person that actually encountered this individual. So it corroborated everything that we saw. We saw our person of interest. We saw that there was a vehicle involved. When this person came in, broke the case in the sense that explained to us exactly what we thought we had seen and put that individual at the crime scene. Obviously, that was the break, because we knew that we were in the right direction to ensure that we were going after this individual, but obviously took his life.
Go ahead. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. Did Mr. Valenti act alone, and is there an anti-Semitism component behind this, do you expect?
As far as we know, Steve, he acted alone.
And is there an anti-Semitism component to this?
No, that we know of, no.
John?
Colonel, what was the events that led to the storage facility? So was he pursued there? Did he know authorities were going after him? When was he last alive? Like, how did that play out?
So it plays out in the sense that we obviously, I just stated, we collected all the evidence. We were able to learn that there was a rental vehicle. We learned about that vehicle. There was financial records that were verified by the FBI, obviously, and other agencies. I'm sorry, actually, so another agency, so multiple agencies that verified financial records that brought us to that site to know that he had actually rented a site at the storage unit, and then we ended up in Salem.
In a follow-up,
Yep.
when he did that, did he know authorities were coming, or did he just go and Like, how long had he been in that storage unit?
That we're not aware of, John, in the sense that all we knew is that we were on a manhunt, and that's what it led us to. So.
Amanda?
Oh, thanks. Chief, some questions for you about Claudio. So he graduated, well, he did graduate. He was at Brown more than 20 years ago. His last known address was in Miami, but now he's here at Brown University, potentially also at MIT. What do you know about what brought him up here?
There's going to be unknown answers that we have no answer as far as that. Obviously, came up here and committed this horrific incident and this tragedy, and that's all we knew. Our mission was to ensure that we could find him and bring him to justice, but yeah,
No
no.
motive at this point.
At this point, correct.
And my follow-up is, of the evidence that you've collected, have you collected the handgun that you believe was used in the shooting? Have you collected any type of manifesto or evidence that he planned more shootings?
So as far as I know, that's the FBI evidence recovery team is up in Salem, New Hampshire, and they're collecting whatever evidence is up there. This happened just now, as before we came up here.
Bill?
Any criminal history, political affiliations, any social media posts, anything of that sort that you can report to us about Mr. Valenti?
Nothing that I know of, Steve.
Behind him. Go ahead, white shirt.
Is there any indication that Mr. Valenti was planning any future attacks?
Nothing that we know of, no.
In the way back.
Special Agent Docs, can you also tell us if the connection, I know you said you can't talk too much about the MIT, but the fact that it was a physics professor out of MIT and in the physics building and he was studying physics, have you tied all that up, and does that lead, why target one person in Massachusetts and then a whole class here in Providence?
Yes, it is true that Mr. Valente was a physics student. Also, we know that the MIT, the victim there, was in that discipline as well. I will tell you that there's multiple phases to an investigation, and so now, in a sense that we know the subject is deceased. Now that investigation continues to find out all of those answers to your question, sir.
Did you go to school with the professor? Did you go to school with Professor Lucido? Can Brown answer that?
It is believed that in Lisbon, that those two individuals attended the same university in Portugal.
You have a follow-up in the back.
En español, si nos pudiera decir también unas palabras, ya sea ahorita o cuando se quede con
Yes, sir. Yes.
Muy poquito.
Go for it.
But,
Sorry, empiezo desde el principio.
Lo que nos puedan resumir acerca del caso, qué fue lo que conllevó a que ustedes pudieran dar con el paradero del sospechoso y las conexiones que tuvieron, cómo llegaron a rastrearlo y más que nada a qué atribuye todo eso.
The question was if I can briefly explain how we got to this individual and what occurred. So, verdaderamente lo que pasó, obviamente el incidente del sábado 13 nos llevó a tomar evidencias, colectar evidencias de videos, de informaciones, y expliqué que es muy importante el trabajo de los policías y los detectives en el piso, haciendo el trabajo duro, recolectando videos, recolectando testimonios. En este tipo de casos recibimos información, obviamente, de los videos que colectamos. Nos dimos cuenta que había un vehículo de interés y una persona de interés desde el principio. Eso nos llevó a después informarnos de la placa del carro, la descripción del carro, y eso nos llevó a darnos cuenta de que esa persona había rentado el vehículo en una compañía en Massachusetts. Después de que fuimos a Massachusetts, cogimos videos de la persona. Esa persona era en la misma descripciones de la persona de interés de nosotros acá en la ciudad de Providence. De ahí pasamos con los agentes federales a investigar un poco más y llegamos a los récords financieros que nos llevó a Salem, New Hampshire, en esta noche. Allá hubo una entrada táctica del equipo del FBI y encontramos que esta persona se había quitado la vida ellos mismos. Ahora estamos investigando más si hay algo que necesitamos saber más de él.
Alex.
Colonel or AG, is there a note or manifesto of some kind, and is that providing any information about a motive or anything that they might have done to the
Again, the FBI recovery team and forensics are up in Salem, New Hampshire. At this point, we don't have any of that.
Any indication of why now? What's the significance behind why this happened on Saturday?
That we don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we know the answer to that question. I think there's a lot of unknowns with respect to motive. I mean, I think that the real issue here is, the key was to identify this person, as we talked about yesterday. I think there are other answers that are coming, but, once we're able to identify him, thanks to that individual who came forward, who led us to a plate, which led us to a rental car, which led us to that he rented that car in his own name. That really broke the case open. But in terms of why Brown, I think that is a mystery. I think there may be something going on in Massachusetts that I'm not fully familiar with because we're working this angle, but I think the Massachusetts authorities may be able to share that. Yeah, I don't think we have any idea why now or why Brown, why these students, why this classroom. That is really unknown to us. And it may become clear. I hope that it does, but it hasn't as of right now.
Fox,
Yeah,
Fox, go
This
ahead.
is for the Colonel or the Attorney General. At 2:16, there was a surveillance video that showed the second person that apparently blew this case wide open, and also Mr. Valente. You see them disappear behind bushes. Was this second person following the shooter? Did he recognize him and confront him? What was that interaction like? And I have a follow-up.
That's a great question, and I'll be all explained in the affidavit that the general stated it will be released. But I'll give you a brief sort of explanation about that. The person that we wanted to speak with had an interaction with this individual earlier in the day, then observed him later at that time where you just stated, and decided that he was going to encounter him and asked him why he was inside Brown. At that point, the person, the subject of interest, Mr. Neves, actually ran. He was caught up by our person that we wanted to speak with. There was sort of a conversation between the two of them, and Neves asked him, "Why are you harassing me?" And at that point, the person that broke the case walked away. And that information was critical to us because he was able to corroborate what our detectives were seeing on video, and he was able to provide a great explanation.
And my follow-up question
Yes.
is, why did it take a citizen to notice a suspicious person right next to Brown University and not the police? And also, how long was the vehicle parked where it was? And was it days, hours, minutes? What were we talking
It appeared to be days as far as the evidence. Why would a civilian observe that to be suspicious? It's a great point. And I like the fact that you're mentioning that and bringing that up. That's what we should all be doing, right? And it's just personality. Some people are more interested in finding out what others are doing. In this particular case, this person decided that he wanted to, and I'm glad he did.
Should the police be interested in that, not citizens as well?
In the back.
Now that the suspect, Attorney General, now that the suspect won't be prosecuted, can you explain what he yelled in the classroom to America tonight so people can feel a little more comfortable?
Sure.
Was it something, terrorist related? Was it something specific to the kids in that class?
Yeah.
What did he say? Can you now tell us?
Yeah, well, back to that question just for a minute, just to clarify that. They had a interaction in the bathroom in Barris and Holly. So, I don't know, the Providence Police is obviously not going to patrol Barris and Holly. That's a question frankly, for Brown and their police department. So they had an interaction there, and then our citizen, followed him out, because to him, as he explained it to us, this guy did not belong there. And so that's why he followed him out. In terms of what was said, I don't know any more today than what I told you yesterday, or the day before. There are some witnesses who said he said nothing. There are some that say he made a barking noise. Don't ask me. I don't know why. And that's it. There is no other spoken word beyond that we are aware of as we stand before you tonight. And we have spoken to everybody that we have been able to locate who's been inside that building.
And just to the special agent in charge, my follow-up question is, can you just be clear to the people of Massachusetts, and I know you said the people in Norfolk County investigated the mass, but you did say a few days ago that you talked to the colonel of the state police and said there's no connection between Brookline and what happened here in Rhode Island. But now you're saying there was a connection, so are you saying that he shot up Brown University, then 2 days later he was at this house in Brookline to shoot this MIT professor, and then he just drove up to Salem, New Hampshire for no reason? How did he get into a storage facility?
No, I think that's a great question. My actual statement was that we didn't see a connection at that time. But absolutely, I spoke to the colonel. Right now, that case is being resided over by U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. They're having a press conference at 10 o'clock tonight, I believe. I think at that time, they will speak to that particular case. I would be getting a little bit ahead of my skis if I spoke to that case without consultation with Leah Foley and her team, as we've been in the trenches working this up to the minute today, sir.
Because 2 days ago, you didn't know they were connected, now you're saying they appear to be.
Yes, and that's how cases often go. I would say at that time, when that question was asked of me, there was no indication of a link at that time. As we've talked throughout this week, these breadcrumbs develop, and we'll see what she has to say today at 10 p.m.
If I could just, I just want to jump in here on that, please. I just want to jump in here on that because it's a good question, it's an important one. So just to put everyone's mind at ease who's listening now, he didn't just drive to some random storage area. We found records with the help of the FBI and others that was his storage area. So he rented a car in Boston. He drove it. We were able to find that car in New Hampshire. We were able to find evidence in the car from looking at it from the outside that connected this individual to our crime scene here in Rhode Island. We were able to find visual evidence of him inside that storage facility, which, in my judgment, matches him to the Massachusetts scene. So you'll hear more, as the special agent said, but there is no question that that was his storage unit, that he had a particular car, that we found that car because of this citizen coming forward and giving us a description of the car, and then our individual who came forward, we knew he was telling the truth because we could see it on the videotape. And so that was a series of things that broke this case, and that led us to Salem, where the suspect was found dead.
Staff.
Believed to be living in Miami. Did he fly here at some point? How long was he in Providence for, and when did he obtain the guns?
Go ahead.
Yeah, he did, like I guess it'll be in the affidavit, but he did fly into Providence, I believe, early October, I believe. That's the right date. And what was the other question? I'm sorry, Steph.
And did he buy the guns here, or did he get the guns?
So I'm sorry, I can't answer.
We don't know the answer to that, Steph, as we stand here right now.
Okay, he can't fly with them, so assuming he got them sometime after he arrived.
Well, that's possible. What we do know is that he was moving around New England in that October, November, and December area. You remember, we just we know that there's a body in New Hampshire. We know that there are guns at the scene. It still remains to be examined, comparing those guns to the ballistics evidence we have in Rhode Island, and I imagine they'll do that in Massachusetts, but again, that's somebody else's investigation. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we match the DNA. But we are 100% confident that this is our target, and that this case is closed from a perspective of pursuing people involved.
And Steph, just to add, I think Special Agent Doc stated, obviously we didn't know who he was. And so it's very difficult to know what a person did prior without any knowledge of who that person is.
Dan.
Can I just ask Special Agent this question? It sounds like from everything everybody's saying that the person who came forward to speak to you is kind of a hero in this story in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
We know that there's a $50,000 reward. Will he get the reward?
You know, I will say that in this particular situation, that individual will likely get absolutely some aspect out of that award. We've had a lot of other tips, I will tell you as well, that have come in from the public. And so I don't deal typically with the distribution of those rewards. But I mean, it would be logical to think that absolutely that individual would be entitled to some of that reward. Yes, sir.
Second row, red shirt. Go ahead. Yeah, you.
Thank you. Austin Digital, do we know when or how the suspect left Providence? For the Colonel.
Well, we know he left Providence and committed a homicide in another state. And that, but we don't know. I'm sorry. How did he leave?
Do we know when he left Providence?
Yeah, when he left. That's what. As far as we know, that he left. But we didn't. I believe his last activity was obviously when we found out he was in another state committing another crime.
Pat.
Pat Ford, Coalition Radio. I'll throw this out to all of you, with particular regards to the Brown University president. A recurring theme for the last few days has been an outreach, ultimately successful, to the people of Rhode Island and the people of New England to track this individual down. While at the same time, we've got this sort of passive-aggressive criticism of individuals who are being actively asked to engage via social media, who are wildly spreading rumors, some of which couldn't have possibly emanated anywhere than law enforcement. And I do have a follow-up. So would anyone like to respond to that? I mean, it's kind of condescending to a lot of people. I know, Governor, if you're confused, that's not uncommon, but the.
All right, that's uncalled for. All
Hey,
right, we're moving on. Current,
Can we come over here then, please?
no,
The person
current.
who came forward with the face-breaking tip, was that information originally posted online? Or was that person encouraged to come forward based on what people online have told them?
Correct. There was a tip that was placed online, and obviously we were doing our due diligence to find out who that tipster was. And then we were able to identify this person who we wanted to speak with, and then we learned that that person was actually the same person that put the tip on that up that you're speaking about.
Brian.
That person lived in the area?
I'm sorry?
That person lived in the area?
It was the same person that we brought into the police station to speak with.
The images
Brian.
that you showed at the beginning, where you can see Mr. Valente's face, where were those images taken from?
They were taken from the car rental business place that we learned about.
None of them were at Brown.
No.
President Paxson, if you could, so the situation is described that you had the suspected gunman and this other person had an encounter in the engineering building hours before the shooting. I had been told by an employee that there have been concerns raised at Brown previously about people getting in the building. Have you heard those, and was anything done to address those concerns about people getting into the building?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think we're going to have to look back and say, you know, we don't know how this person got in. We don't know when they came in. We do know that the building was unlocked that day for exams, and that's something we're going to have to
Had
look
you heard
into.
concerns from staff members in the past?
I
about
have
security of the
not
building?
personally heard concerns, but, yeah.
Dan.
President Paxson, Dan Jane from NBC 10. I want to go back to the question I asked you Saturday night when I first arrived on the scene. There were no cameras in this building. And law enforcement, some that are standing up behind you, have said if Brown had cameras in that part of the building, we would have gotten this guy. And it may have stopped this swirling action. Can you answer that question for me?
Well, I don't think we have said the locations of cameras at Brown. We
But
have
there's no cameras in that
we
building
have
because why would they take it from a rental car agency?
we have 1,200 cameras at Brown.
But not in that building.
We have some in that building. It's a large complex. And I think what you would see is the video evidence in this case, from my perspective, I'm not a law enforcement agent, has been incredibly helpful. The moving of the person around the neighborhood, those video images, they help crack this case. So I think video was important. And as the Attorney General explained at a recent press conference, this individual was not spending his time on the Brown campus. He came into a building on the edge of the campus, he left, he was in the neighborhoods, the investigation focused on the neighborhoods, the video was there, and that was really, really instrumental in cracking the case.
And
But
my
you can
second-
ask them.
And this is my follow-up, Madam President, if you'd stay at the podium.
Mm.
Yes, video played a big role in this case. The neighbor's video, the rental car video,
Mhm.
but not the video from the building that he walked in freely both before when he got in a confrontation and when he came back in and decided to kill people. You didn't have cameras in that building, just say it, so we can get this over. And my next question, will you put
Dan, you got
cameras
one
in-
follow-up.
Will
Yeah.
you put the cameras in the building?
Yeah.
Will there be more cameras in that building?
Yeah, you know, I think we need to look back, we'll look at everything that is done, but I do not think a lack of cameras in that building, it had anything to do with what happened there. And we will
Thank
go
you, Madam
forward.
President.
Thank you.
Tom.
Tom Quinlan, WPRO. Colonel Perez, I'm hearing from sources that the person that identified the shooter happened to be a homeless person that either lived around or inside that Barris and Holly building. Can you confirm more about this person for us? And then I have a follow-up for President Paxson.
I'll tell you there was a person that was pretty attentive about his surroundings. I'll tell you there was a person that was very cooperative and helpful to this investigation. And I'll tell you that he was a great individual that actually assisted us in getting us to this point where we're at. I'll tell you that.
Brown graduate?
He was, yes.
I have to say, he was incredibly articulate, and his testimony, had we needed it, would not only have been credible, it would have been persuasive. He was as outstanding a witness as I've seen. And he deserves a lot of credit, you know, recognizing there's a gunman on the loose, that the gunman knows he had this interaction with him, and he didn't, once he knew that we were looking for his help, I mean, he came forward within an hour. And that person deserves a tremendous amount of credit. I don't know whether he's going to get the reward or not, but if I had a vote, he would.
All right, Tom, you got to follow. You're done? Go ahead.
My question was for Chair Chapman, if you wouldn't mind. In October, the Brown Daily Herald reported that you had voted no confidence in your leadership, and students were concerned for their safety and the fact that you had prioritized desk jobs over having overfield jobs and having more people patrolling the campus. Now, in light of this, do you accept any kind of responsibility for this? And now that we've given these prior warnings, are you going to reevaluate how the Brown police operate in the future now, so this doesn't happen again and these students can feel more safe on campus when they return?
Great. So as I stated earlier, I'm profoundly proud of the men and women of public safety and profoundly proud of our police department. We will continue with the heroic work that they've done and continue to work side by side with our partners. And everything else that comes with that is a continual effort to do what is best for the safety and security of our campus.
But will you reassess how the people are allocated within your department?
Every single day, we work and endeavor to keep our campus safe, whatever that entails and all that entails.
In the back.
Yes, Kim Wadicki. I was wondering, maybe this question for the Colonel. Can you talk, you said that 2 weapons were found in Valenti's car. Was that one of those weapons, the gun that was used to shoot here at Brown? Has that weapon been found? Can you speak to that?
That's all part of this continuing investigation. This just, before we came downstairs, actually, as you all were watching, that was developing up in Salem, New Hampshire.
Can you say whether or not that the weapons were purchased?
Hold on a second.
Yeah, those firearms were found at the deceased body, not in a car. So he killed himself inside the storage unit, and the firearms were found at his, in the area of his thigh and in the area of his feet. It was not in a car. There was evidence that was observed from outside the car that matched our crime scenes, meaning mask, clothing, satchel, which you can see on that video. And there was a main plate over a Florida plate. This guy was changing plates. One of the reasons it was so hard to find was he knew what he was doing. He was changing plates. And so, you know, that's why the collective work of following and finding this car was made more difficult, because this guy was changing plates. So we got a main plate and we got a Florida plate on the same car in New Hampshire.
Patrick.
As he was a
Oh, I'm sorry. Especially,
I was just going to add.
please.
Tom Greco again from ATF. It's okay. As far as the ballistics evidence, I know that the last question concerned matching the guns found to the crime scene. As several people up here have said, this investigation is ongoing, and in many ways, in some ways, just beginning. So those weapons that were found at the scene, we will be using our tools such as NIBIN to compare the ballistic evidence to see if we have any matches. So we use those tools to rule things in and to rule them out as well. So we'll be following up on that throughout the remainder of the investigation.
Patrick.
Neves Valente was a Portuguese national. Under what status was he in the country, and how did he get into the country? Do we know at this point? I have a follow-up after that.
You have that,
Yeah.
Oscar?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I do. So, as far as we know, he had a student visa. He had came in here with a student visa, and we also had learned that he had applied to get a green card.
Do we know, sorry, and for President Paxson, does Brown have
And
any...
Patrick, if I could just be clear on that, he got that lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017.
Thank you, I was going to ask, but then, and for President Paxson, has Brown had any communication from Neves Valente in the period after he left until now?
As far as I know, no. He has really gone off our radar. We will continue to cooperate with the police as they continue with the investigation to find anything we can find about him. But his last class that he took at Brown was in 2001.
Straight back.
This question is for the Colonel or the Attorney
From the beginning, I've told you that this investigation is extremely complex and intense. And so we used every resource as soon as we responded to the call. I stated that earlier. I'm proud of the men and women of this department. Yes, we did find somebody that we thought obviously was the person, but we continued on. We continued on investigating. We continued on canvassing the areas. We continued on with video. And that's why we ended up where we're at now.
Yeah, if I could just jump in here, I just want to continue to answer that question. It's an important one. And the answer to that is this, and I tried to convey it a couple of days ago. We broke ourselves out into teams. So while the Providence team and the state police team and the ATF team were working here in Providence to follow up leads, develop whatever video evidence we can, which eventually led to all the steps that you've seen and are laid out in the affidavit, which is on our website, and it is multiple pages. You'll see the progression. So while the FBI were working Coventry, we were working here. Now, you may ask, well, what was it about Coventry that made us, for those of us who've been in law enforcement for a long time, why did we have to run that lead to ground? Here's why. When the FBI confronted him, initially, he was not cooperative. When they entered the room to secure it, there were guns in the room. One of them had a laser sight. The witnesses had told us there was a laser sight used in the course of the attack. Okay, we had to run that to ground. We couldn't just, not run that to ground. That was a very promising lead. But that's why you don't get over your skis about, and word choice is important. So while we had to test those ballistics and test the DNA off those guns, and that DNA ruled this guy out, okay? But we had to run that lead to ground. But while we're running that lead to ground over the course of Sunday, for the most part, if my memory's correct, we were working other leads, which eventually led us through a recreation by the great work of the team, including the marshals, by the way, that are up here. Movements, image of our cooperating witness, witness comes in, and you've heard the rest. So, this is the way these investigations work. You don't chase one and stop. We have chased more than one lead over the course of the last 4 to 5 days. There was one lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. So that's, at least in my mind, 5 different leads that one worked out, 4 didn't. But you're running them all down at the same time. So I can't offer any comfort in that regard, but I don't believe that we would have found this person any sooner, given the evidence that was available to us.
Way back.
Can you say why it took so long to get the tipster's tip? It looks like we posted on Reddit on Monday, and then said on Reddit that he told the FBI. Was it lost in the FBI's tip?
We received the tip about that post and immediately acted on it. And so that's exactly what occurred. As soon as the tip came in, we had a tip center upstairs that was staffed, as I mentioned earlier, by detectives and agents. They were going through hundreds of tips that were coming in, hundreds. We were vetting them through, ruling them out, just like the general stated. We were making sure that whatever came in, we checked it to its entire to ensure that we weren't missing anything. And so when we got to that tip, obviously, it led us to that person that we wanted to speak with, and I told you the rest earlier. So.
Yeah, and I want to complete that too, because this is important. This person had to come forward. That's why we put the picture out. Once we put the picture out, he came forward, right? But we didn't know who that person was. We knew about what was on Reddit, but we didn't know who that person was. That's why when we identified another person, we didn't know when that person came forward that he was the Reddit poster. He then told us he was, okay? So all of these things kind of happened in that sequence.
Go ahead, Chris.
This Valente figure, this is a question for President Paxson. Do we know why he left school early in 2001? Did he have a history of mental illness that was expressed during that time or reported at that time?
No, we learned his name very, very recently, and we haven't had a chance to really dig into the records. But we will if it helps with the investigation.
This is another question about
You had a follow-up question.
This is another question about a student visa. When you say he's here on a student visa now, what school is he affiliated with?
Yeah, so he's not here on a student visa now. He was initially. And then he applied for and received lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017. Okay?
Thank you. Go right here.
What was Mr. Valente's profession, and have you searched his residence?
Again, as I stated earlier, we just identified who obviously that person, and this developed pretty quickly. So that's all part of the investigation that's coming.
Can you talk about, was there any interaction between him and law enforcement before he died?
No, not that we know.
I have a follow-up to her.
There you
And
go.
that is, do you know any associates of his family members, friends, roommates? And if there are any in the United States, did any of them come forward through the process of this investigation?
No, not at this time. This evolved extremely quickly. We've been at this for 6 days. And so here we are, and we now identify who the person is. We're about to make an apprehension. As I stated earlier, he took his own life, but that's all part of the investigation that will continue about him.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for President Paxson, Chief Burrows said he had no known criminal history that you know of. You were asked about possible mental illness while he was here. When he was at Brown, did he have any grievances, disputes with anyone, any problems, any disciplinary issues, any problems at all that were documented?
Not that we know of at this point. I mean, again, these are very, very old records, you have to understand. We learned about this very recently. And I think going forward, as we want to learn more, we will cooperate with the investigation to give them the information they need.
Go ahead, in the white shirt.
Hi, Brittany, WCBB. This question is for Colonel Perez. You mentioned that Claudio was the primary suspect, primary focus from the beginning. If that's the case, can you elaborate more on why there was someone else detained initially, and the lead that led you to that person to being detained initially, if Claudio was the primary focus from the beginning?
Yeah, so.
And I have a follow-up.
Sure, Brittany. Great question. So we have received a tip about that first person. We have received a tip about him wanting to get a permit to carry a firearm. And that led us to also learn that he was a person who potentially could be, it was just where he was denied, and then he went to another department, and the descriptions led us there. So we had it vetted through. Obviously, the FBI responded, followed through that whole tip, ended up finding the person, taking him to custody, finding him with 2 firearms, with a laser. And so it took a while for us to be able to rule him out. But it was a tip that came in. And as I stated earlier, as soon as the call came in, it was all hands on deck. And there was nothing that we were just going to say that is not anything that had to do with it, with this case. Obviously, we wanted to make an apprehension, and we went after that. So.
Yeah, I just want to, if I could just jump in here, Mayor, I'm sorry to do that, but I think I heard you say that Mr. Valenti was the suspect from the start.
Primary focus.
No, he became their primary focus yesterday at around this time. This name was not known to us until yesterday. So when our cooperator came in last night, we were able to track the car, get the name, and then we were in the position of, today, do we push that name out so that you can help us find this guy? Or do we think we know where he is? And so that was the balance. That was that back and forth analysis in our minds, collective investigative team minds, was going on today. But his name did not come to us until yesterday. As I said yesterday, until you have the name, which we did not have until yesterday, after our press conference together, that's when this thing heated up. As soon as you have a name, I believe you can find anybody in this country. And the fact that this team was able to do it in around 24 hours, I think is a tribute to them, their hard work, around the clock, to do exactly what we have been talking about doing, which is how long is it going to take? And it took, roughly 5 days. And that's a tribute to them.
Brittany, if I could just clarify further on that. So what I meant, obviously, it was that the image that we released within hours of that person of interest that was walking on Waterman Avenue and around the corner, that was sent out within minutes. That became a primary focus of the investigation of that person of interest.
Just for clarification,
Yes.
and if I may, my
Please.
follow-up. I believe it said the last address for Valenti is in Miami.
Correct.
Have law enforcement in Miami been notified? Are they searching this last address for any potential evidence?
No, Brittany, absolutely. Yes, that address, I believe, was one that predicated in 2001. And so absolutely, the law enforcement agencies, both federal and local, were notified of that. They also went to that residence as well, also talked to the individuals that was at that particular residence to see if they had any type of connections or associations with Valenti.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Nueva?
Question for Coronel Perez, I'm sorry. From Univision in Spanish language. What's next? Do you have any leads on the motives? Como acaba de preguntar la colega, ya registraron la vivienda en la Florida. ¿Qué es lo que viene ahora? Si es que saben cuál fue su motivo para matar a esta persona.
Sí, vamos a seguir. So the question was, what's next, right? What are we going to do next? And so la respuesta es que vamos a seguir, obviamente, trabajando con las organizaciones federales y también entre nosotros buscando esa inteligencia de quién es esa persona, qué motivo lo trajo aquí a la ciudad de Providence a cometer esta tragedia, este incidente. Pero eso va a tomar tiempo verdaderamente y vamos a tener que averiguar y averiguar más para ver qué fue el motivo que llegó a esta ciudad.
¿Tienen alguna lista de qué podría haber sido? ¿Qué es lo que van a estar buscando ahora?
No, hasta el momento no. Esto obviamente, como acabo de explicar ahorita, lo identificamos hace poco.
Go ahead. Right there.
So it was the financial records that the federal agency followed through the investigation that led us to learn that this person had rented there, so a storage unit. And so we responded immediately, and we found that the vehicle that we were looking for of interest was parked there.
Just one follow-up here.
Kate, go ahead.
Chief, can you speak a little bit more to that, again, identification of the vehicle of interest and the person who did that? And as you said, there was video captured. Could walk us through that aspect of this? Was this the witness who provided to you the vehicle? Can you walk us through how that vehicle of interest entered the investigation and then have a follow-up?
Correct, yeah, it was part of the tip that was posted actually, and then also the tipster had called and had stated that this individual had a fob and was trying to enter a vehicle that was parked on Benevolent. And so because of that, we obviously knew there was a vehicle and there was a description of a vehicle. When we brought him in, he collaborated further on that vehicle. We put it out through Flock, the description of it, and we learned that within that time period, there was only a certain amount of vehicles that came up with those description fitting it. So our detectives obviously stayed on that and ended up finding this vehicle with Florida plates, and that's how we ended up with that specific vehicle. Then we had learned that the vehicle also potentially could have changed their plates, and as I stated earlier, we were able to find the vehicle on Flock, actually get the actual plate, learn that it was a car rental, which brought us up to learn that we needed to learn more at the rental place about the individual, which we did, and then further later, we find out, again, doing all the work that they did upstairs, I think it was tremendous too. If you had a chance and an opportunity to see how much work was put in, because it was bits and pieces of information. It's almost like putting a puzzle together. You only have just a few pieces, and you're building it. And that, later on, led us with the financial records to learn that he rented a storage unit in New Hampshire, and that's why we ended up.
Kate, your
follow-up.
follow-up.
To that one for the Chief or the Attorney General. You mentioned, again, weighing that public interest versus the information that was available to law enforcement at the time, as this person, again, considered armed and potentially dangerous, was out there. The Chief just spoke to license plates changing on a variety of moments, if you will. But was it too fast-moving? Talk to us about weighing again that providing information to the public with an armed and dangerous individual and vehicle use that involved multiple license plates and your decision not to sort of real-time inform the public.
Yeah, so we knew last night, who this guy was and that he had rented a car in Boston. So the question becomes, is he going to return the car to Boston? We got information he might return it to Connecticut. He didn't return it at all. But when we thought he might be returning it to the information, to the locations, we wanted to try to take him without him knowing we were coming. As soon as his name gets out there, he is going to be even more in the wind. And so the question becomes, if you think you might know where he is, right, eventually you find the storage unit, right, so you're following that up. But initially you think he might return the car to Boston on Atlantic Avenue, I believe, or in Connecticut, perhaps to board a flight somewhere. You're weighing, can I take this guy, because we know where he's going to be, and not alert him that we're coming. And so I would say this afternoon, we were going back and forth on that. But as the FBI and the ATF and our other partners, Providence Police, State Police, developed evidence as to where he was. Ultimately, in New Hampshire, we decided to pursue to that location. And there, we found the car with those multiple plates that we were looking for, a Florida plate and a Maine plate on top of it.
No, right there, go ahead.
That DNA evidence, you know, where was that tested? And also the firearms examination, we've had some trouble with the state lab here. Where were those,
I just wanted to touch real quick, and I know ATF is going to be able to answer you that, but that's a great question, Mark. And the reason for that is because when the incident first happened, it was our BCI unit that responded and collected that DNA and protected the integrity of that DNA and sent it out.
Thank you. The evidence collected, the DNA and the firearms were sent to the Connecticut State Police Lab. They had the best kept local capabilities to handle that type of evidence and do those type of examinations.
Mark, do you have a follow-up? You're good.
Thank you.
Wheeler, go ahead.
So is there an understanding of how he got to get the rental car in Boston, or what his movements were in the days and weeks before the shooting?
So if there's an understanding how he got to Boston to rent the car, is that?
Yeah, where was he in the days and the weeks before this?
Yeah, so we're not sure about that, obviously, because we all started acting on this investigation when the incident happened, and that's when we started to follow through to learn more about it. So.
Yeah, and remember, we didn't have his name until last night, so I think we'll know more about his movements as we're able to track that name. But the critical thing was, once we knew his name, was where is he right now? Certainly, you know, going backwards, we're gonna wanna know how he got into the country, when he got here and all that. But today's mission was get him off the streets where he poses a danger to Rhode Islanders and ultimately the people of New England.
How close was law enforcement to him when he took his own life? Were they closing in on him? Were they minutes away, seconds away from him?
Yeah,
when he took his own life?
I don't think we know that yet. I mean, I think there will have to be a autopsy done to figure out when he took his life. What we do know is that he signed into that place, but we didn't see him coming out. So I would say at that point, you know, I think, you know, the instinct, at least that I had, was that he had taken his own life. But certainly, you know, if he came out, he would have been arrested. I mean, he was, that site had been secured by the FBI.
Go ahead, right there, please.
David mentioned shell casings in the hallway. Did he start in the classroom and then move to the hallway? Can you elaborate?
It looks like as soon as he entered, he started firing. We found over 44 rounds that were firing to the classroom, and that's all actually listed in the affidavit. I really want to have some respect for the family, for the victims and the students. I think that there is no reason for us to stand here and re-victimize anybody. If I was a father and I'm watching right now, I think it would re-victimize me even more. So I really want to pay some respect on some of the questions that you asked. If you
Did the gun jam
So-
the shooting? Did the gun jam during the shooting?
I'm going to end with one last, I'm going to end with
How
one.
much money it cost this investigation? Brown gonna reimburse the money to the city and the state, and she gonna give some money to the gentleman, they give the license plate number, the only person.
So-
I think Brown deserves to give money to that person.
Thank you for the question. I will say, I can't, on behalf of the city of Providence, we have not yet assessed what the cost of this investigation. Let me finish my answer. We have not yet assessed what the cost. Ronaldo, we're done. Okay. Listen, one last positive announcement. As has been said multiple times, the investigation continues. I know there's lots of question around motive and otherwise. The individuals here are still hard at work. Yesterday, we gave an update with respect to the survivors. I'm happy to say that one condition was upgraded, and now all 6 survivors are in stable condition. It is important to not lose fact of the fact that 6 people are still in the hospital who I know would welcome our prayers. This has been a traumatic moment for our community. I hope that today's announcement starts the healing process and provides some closure for that. As the governor, I think, very eloquently stated, lots of people are going to leave town today, but the rest of us will all still be here, and we're going to have a long road ahead. And I know that what we do best as Rhode Islanders is support one another. I know this community will support one another to move forward after the worst act of violence that any of us can remember. The press has played an important role in helping us push out information and get to this moment today. We're very grateful for all of you. I'm sure some people will be willing to talk after the press conference. Thank you all for your time.
Has President Trump reached out to anybody on the team to congratulate them?
Appreciate it. Thank you. Chris, thanks. Governor, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, sir, thank you. Governor, thanks.
General, can I just get clarification on two things?